inspectors general. That only leaves no one knows how many now. I have no idea.
What's up, Black Coffee Crew? Jon Stewart seemingly defending Trump and in doing so exposing some serious media hypocrisy. Now, before you start throwing your mugs at the screen, hear me out. We're not here to endorse any particular politician, but to analyze what's happening and the obvious double standards we're seeing play out. Let's get into it.
But this is the cycle we find ourselves in. First law of Trumpodynamics. Every action is met with a very not equal overreaction.
These pardons are sick. They are offensive. They are un-American.
This is one of the most egregious, despicable acts in American history.
This is textbook authoritarian takeover 101.
I knew I should have taken that class. And not majored in submissive liberal crying 101. Oh. Is it an abuse of pardon power? I don't know. But that is his constitutional power. Again, for some reason, we have given presidents the power of a king. And then we say, oh, by the way, with that power, you're not going to get all like kingly and shit on us, right?
We've all seen it. The outrage, the accusations, the constant cries of fascism every time Trump so much as sneezes. But here's the kicker. Jon Stewart, a guy known for skewering political BS across the board, is now calling out the left, specifically the mainstream media and the Democrats, for their hypocrisy. It's fascinating to see Stewart, who is not exactly a Trump fan, pointing out the incessant hypocrisy and fear-mongering about Donald Trump and the Republicans. He's not defending Trump's actions necessarily, but he is calling out the overreactions and, frankly, the sometimes manipulative tactics of the left.
The return to 1600 Trumpylvania Avenue was as disorienting and chaotic as I imagined. But then we had a weekend. Serenity now. And we can finally catch our breath, begin to move forward with intentionality. Namaste.
Friday night massacre.
Late Friday night purge. A chilling purge.
The purge.
Ah! Trump has ushered in the purge! I, for one, will take full advantage. Although, just in case I'm misinterpreting, what is this purge about exactly?
Breaking news, the mass firing of government agency watchdog.
The sources highlight how Stewart acknowledges that the presidential pardon power, while potentially problematic, is indeed a constitutional power. It's like, yes, this is what the system allows, so let's not act surprised when it's used, rather than immediately jump into authoritarian takeover. He is not saying he agrees with the choices, but simply that they are legal. The text mentions Trump's firing of several inspectors general. While Stewart seems concerned initially, calling it a chilling purge, the discussion points out that the president does have the authority to remove them. However, there are rules that Trump should have followed, including a 30-day notice and a detailed rationale. But the fact that he has this authority makes the hysterical reaction of the left look ridiculous. The media portrayed the firings as unprecedented, but Stewart called it out, explaining how it was the violation of the 30-day notice, not the action itself. That was the real issue.
Trump fired at least 17 inspectors general.
No! He got rid of 17 inspectors general. That only leaves no one knows how many now. I have no idea. What Trump did violated the law. He can't just fire these people.
Title V, Section 403 of the U.S. Code, federal law, an inspector general may be removed by the president.
What? So what's the purge? What's the Why do I have an axe?
There is a specific law that requires notice, 30 days, and a statement of reasons, substantive and detailed rationale.
What? I'm sorry, what? Oh, apparently you can fire them, but you have to give them 30 days notice. Oh, so that's what we're upset about? No! You can do it, but not in that font! That's Hitler's font!
So it's not the content of the resignation letters that becomes the left's problem, but the font used on them. Or as the source puts it in a satirical tone, that's Hitler's font. Stewart is essentially pointing out that the Democrats have become so used to a certain way of operating, they can't handle when the system they claim to love actually works as designed.
Look, we are facing a deluge of these executive actions, and certainly we must be prepared for those most vulnerable to the consequences of these actions. But the "this is all fascist" argument has become almost a reflex for the left.
Donald Trump promised to be a dictator on day one, and he's carried that forward through the entire week.
5 days into this administration, the abuse is already rampant.
On a fascism scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being peak fascism, how would you rate Trump's first week?
Scale of Mussolini to the Holocaust. I would say it's not fascism. Do I not understand what fascism is? Republicans control the House, the Senate, the executive, and the judiciary. And just about every move that has been made till this point, we have granted them electorally. It's our f***ing fault. And the constant it's just our fault. And the constant drumbeat of encroaching fascism will erode the credibility we will need hopefully if, and not when, it hits. But the truth is that for now, his most objectionable actions have taken place almost entirely within our designed democratic system. There was no authoritarian end run, no royal edicts. This shit happened to us as designed.
The constant crying of fascism has become a reflex which diminishes the credibility of the left. This ties into the broader point about the expansion of executive power, a problem conservatives have been pointing out for decades. Yet now that it is Trump in office, Democrats want to act surprised. Now let's dig a bit deeper into the hypocrisy angle. The sources make it pretty clear that the left has a tendency to overreact. They go straight to fascism. When you're constantly using that as your go-to argument, it loses its punch. And I want to be clear here. I'm not saying Trump is perfect. Far from it. But this knee-jerk reaction from the Democrats is getting old. There's a recognition in the sources that the Democrats have often made moves for short-term political gains, not realizing that those moves would come back to bite them when Republicans held power. The sources also point out that the Democratic Party cannot handle the system working as it was intended. The system that they profess to love is also the one that elected Donald Trump, a person they clearly see as an existential threat to democracy. The left needs to take a good hard look at themselves and ask, are we really fighting for democracy? Or are we fighting to maintain power? So what's the takeaway from all of this? Well, for starters, let's not let our own political biases blind us to reality. Stewart's critique isn't about defending Trump. It's about calling out the hypocrisy and overreach on the left. The sources emphasize the need for a balanced, rational assessment of political actions. Constant fear-mongering and hyperbolic claims ultimately weaken the very arguments the left is trying to make. We need to hold our leaders accountable, regardless of party affiliation. And that means calling out BS when we see it. It's not us versus them, it's are we acting in good faith? Or, as Stewart said, is there actual justification for these accusations? Or are we just reacting emotionally? That's it for today's deep dive. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you seeing the same hypocrisy? Is Jon Stewart right? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks for watching.